Welcome back to another Zero Context Patreon Stark, advertising my Patreon content one out of context theater moment at a time. I started off by wrapping up Perfectly Nice Neighbors before I jumped into Love Stargirl. Tom, it's really important that we get this bit right, okay? So I want you to think about it carefully. You walked into the house and straight into the kitchen. You didn't go upstairs at any point before the police arrived. That's right. He looked from Rainer to Martin. Why? What if I told you that a witness saw you on your top floor balcony minutes before you called an ambulance? Tom's such a hateful liar that he could deny having tap danced on the moon and I'd call him out on his lies. It's almost like people who have a long history of lying aren't taken seriously or something. How weird is that? Lately, Tom would disappear for hours at a time, turning up from marathon runs, wide-eyed like a madman. So this man is accused of murder, and the trial is about to begin, and he's simply wandering around the streets of England? What kind of messed up judge gave this man bail? How the fudge were the family able to afford it when Willa is acting like they could barely keep the roof over their head? Not to mention the fact that Tom doesn't even have a job anymore because of the messed up stuff he said to Selma and Zane. I'd also like to point out that they lived next door to the victim. Why the fudge would a judge willingly let him go back where he could continue to harass his victims? He turned his attention to Selma's lawyer. She wasn't Selma's lawyer per se, but they represented the Crown Prosecution Service, but he also knew that his fight was between him and her. The fact that Tom still thinks that this is a spat between neighbors when a boy lies comatose vegetative in the fucking hospital is telling me every single fucking thing that I need to know about Tom. Well, actually, I knew all that I wanted to know about Tom when he knocked the BLM sign down in Chapter 1. Oh my fucking god, I realize something right now. This is Unraveling all over again, where you find out everything that you need to know in Chapter 1 and everything else is simply an unnecessary accessory after finding out that the main characters are all fucking miserable pieces of shit who shouldn't be out in society. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was a fool because my son still ended up in hospital. Here's the stupidest thing about Americanizing this book. You can take out all of the U's out of the words and change the S's to Z's, but they apparently saw nothing wrong with how in the UK they say ended up in hospital versus in America it would be ended up in the hospital. And did you paint her window? Tom exhaled slowly. Yes, I did do that, sir. Selma stared at him, shocked by the fact he had admitted it. So it was him after all. Why did you do that? Julian asked. It was a stupid thing. I should have acted like an adult, but I was annoyed that they put up the banner when the regulation clearly states that you're not allowed to. I wanted to discourage them, and I thought they would blame the local use, and that would be that. It was a moment of stupidity, but to leap from that to some of the things you've accused me of is just madness. Again, you could have talked to them like a goddamn grown-up, and instead you acted childishly, and now you're on trial for attempted murder. Willa looked uncommonly chic in a white dress and diamond studs, the consummate English rose. Selma was ashamed of how this made her feel, hairy and ungainly in her wide-fit teacher's shoes. I don't know, man, if I was a jury on a case where the boy had clearly been the target of racism, seeing a white woman in a chic dress and literal diamond earrings versus the victim's mother in a matronly teacher outfit, it wouldn't exactly make me side with the white people. And I say this as a non-practicing white. If Dad goes to prison, it'll be my fault. No, it'll be the fault of a grown man who pushed a 17-year-old child off a balcony. This man apparently has a long history of being a racist piece of duty and hurting dark-skinned children. The fact that he's remained able to walk around in society is simply so baffling to me. You don't think I see all the digs on Twitter made by women like you? Everyone thinks it's okay to have a go at blonde white woman. Well, you know what? I was born like this just as how you were born like that. But only one of us is allowed to attack the other. Look, bitch, I don't hate natural blondes. Not like I think that there's anything fucking natural about you, you fucking phony. What I hate are stuck-up bitches who think that they're better than everybody. And boy, do I hate stuck-up women who stand by their man as they proceed to try to murder a 17-year-old brown boy. Willa thought about what Selma had said. You're complicit, but just because she was married to Tom, it didn't mean that they were the same. Willa couldn't be blamed for his actions. It was true that he said off-color things sometimes, but who didn't in the privacy of their inner circle? He didn't mean the things he said, certainly not to his threat to Zane. No, but you still stood by and said nothing about his terrible actions and words. You do understand how that might make people think that you also hate brown people, right? Willa sat in the restaurant and listened to her friends dissect her life. After Tom's conviction, Sato, Sophia, and Amelia had pressured her into leaving, whatever that meant when your husband would spend a decade in prison. She hadn't wanted to leave, told herself she could wait for him. I don't know how to say this, but Would she even still be with Tom if she hadn't gotten knocked up? I feel like she's wasted enough of her life with this sad sack loser. Does she really need to wait 10 more years? Not like I should defend this racist pile of rubbish and encourage her to leave her terrible husband. Later, Selma is walking Molly when she sees people moving in next door where Tom and Willa used to live. She goes to greet them and they exchange the usual pleasantries. But as Selma ducks back inside because she forgot to grab a poo bag for Molly, she comes out and finds a St. George cross flag in the new neighbor's garden. She pulls it out and tosses it onto their lawn because, fuck the life lessons I should have learned during all of this. Let's go on to abuse other people. That's literally how the book ends. I fucking hated this so much. And what better way to celebrate this New Year's Day than to begin writing a letter to my once and future boyfriend? Girl, read the effing room. He didn't even like you when you were dating. I take field trips. Hey, who doesn't? Who says I'm not a normal student? In fact, I take lots of field trips. My mother sends me to a small area in town where my assignment is to hang out for the day and then write a poem about my experience there. I might stay for 10 minutes or 10 hours, however long it takes me to come up with a poem. I take my notebook and do the poem right there. Today was a real challenge. The destination was the stone piles. My mother slips a card under my bedroom door with the field trip location. I refuse to believe that having no interaction with your child and simply sending them off like that falls squarely into the category of suddenly understanding why homeschooling is illegal in Europe. As I turned to go, Dootsie screamed, "No, I'm here, I'm just invisible." She came running. Mum. Oh my god, I'm going to have to ask you to stop. Earth says, "Here, a gift for you," and what do? We shovel it, blow it, scrape it, plow it, get it out of our way, we push it to our fringes. Is there anything uglier or sadder than a 10-day-old snow dump? It's not even snow anymore, it's slush. Was that beginning to be us, Leo? I'd rather never see you again than have this happen. We were once so fresh, a dazzling snowfield. Let's promise each other that if we ever meet again, we will never plow and push our new fallen snow. We will not become slush. We will stay like this field and melt away together only in the sun's good time. Beginning to be us? Beginning to be us? Baby girl, have I got some bad news for you. March 10th. Every day brings a new memory of something we did a year ago, a parade of unhappy anniversaries. That's the entire section. Again, I think that this is Stargirl's desperate hope to remind herself of how unhappy that she was. That at the end of this year, she'll look back and wonder why she spent so much time being sad about a guy who clearly didn't give a hoot about her. Yes, my father is a milkman now. After 15 years as an engineering supervisor in mechatronics, he was burned out. Still, he wasn't going to quit. But my mother made him after she asked him what he would rather do, and he grinned and said, "I've always wanted to be a milkman." I refuse to believe that this is literally anybody's dream. This is the boomer Arthur sitting down and thinking of days gone by, of jobs that no longer exist, and the next thing anybody knows, Daddy's dream has always to become a milkman. Josie said, "I want to wear them." She was pointing at my earrings, the little silver lunch trucks that my father had a silversmith make for me in Tucson. I took them off. I went to put them on her ears, but she said, "I want to do it." "Okay," I said, and handed them to her. Next thing I knew, she tossed them into a nearby sewer, threw up her hands, and cried, "April Fools!" Jesus fucking Christ. A child intentionally throwing my handmade solid silver earrings into the fucking sewer and then acting like it was nothing but a prank would have been my 13th reason. Oh, sure, I'll still be missing you as much as ever. I'll still smile at the memory of you. I'll still be, okay, I'll say it again, loving you, but I won't abandon myself for you. I cannot be faithful to you without being faithful to myself. It's not so much that I disapprove of the message, but why did it take her so long to realize this? She literally changed every single aspect about herself to try and please him, and it was not enough. May 4th summary. Stargirl talks about a hidden love language between her and Dootsie. I don't care about this, but I also don't care if she gives Charlie a donut or not. However, Stargirl decides to backslide into her Leo-induced insanity. She describes the Leo sitting with him at the food court of the mall and doing other very small activities with him. It's giving mentally unwell. She'd been doing okay and finally acknowledging that he hadn't been treating her right, and then suddenly this nonsense. I feel so sorry for her, but not really, mainly because they were only together for a few months. Pull yourself together, girl. As for me, I got out the buttercup dress I wore to the Ocotillo ball. You remember, don't you? The ball you didn't ask me to? You mean the ball that Leo didn't even attend? That ball? There's no way that he knew what she was wearing that night because he didn't even go. Tootsie and I held our ears and screamed when the sirening fire trucks went by. It was very hot. There was no shade. It's stuff like this that makes me wonder exactly what grade that the author mentally checked out of school, because these sentences are so simple. It's giving, I flunked out of third grade and never looked back. There's writing for children, but the subject matter of this isn't aimed at 7-year-olds, so I'm insanely confused about the entire thing. When their mother gets back home, she'd been at the dentist. Stargirl obviously says what happens. Then, despite the fact that Stargirl said that Alva had left, she takes Elvina to the nearby nail salon to get a replacement nail. For some unholy reason, this section was 7 freaking pages long. I was hoping that there would be something of actual value, but no. Even though we got this unholy child abuse, I can't even summon up a single hoot about any of this. My happy wagon is down to 5 pebbles. Look, I'm not going to tell people how it is that they should grieve their relationship, but girly, it's been more than a year at this point. It's time to move on. I don't know, Archie. I have something, but I don't know what to call it. I spent almost a whole night on his roof with him. No hanky-panky. We talked. Well, I talked mostly, except when he hollered at me. I danced for him. He gives so little that all he needs to do is to make me feel good is to keep his eyes open. What about Leo? You're not the first to ask me that. If anybody's going to tell Stargirl to get the fuck over Leo, it's going to be Archie. He's the only one who actually knew Leo. I would say, why aren't her parents doing anything? But I've already established that her parents are beyond terrible. For crying out loud, her mother slips note cards of locations Stargirl is to spend the entire day at and calls it homeschooling. Today was Charlie's birthday. It says so on the tombstone he shares with Grace, August 14th, 1933. So, Charlie, how old are you today? Charlie showed her with fingers. Tootsie counted them up. 11? 74, I said. This takes place in 2007 when this was published? Why don't they have phones, iPads, zero mentions of President Bush or the upcoming presidential election? Why the fuck is her father a milkman? Who the fuck gets a job as a milkman in 2007? Also, it only makes the first book even more bizarre because, again, it would have taken place in 2006, and let me tell you, I was a sophomore that year, and iPods and Razor flip phones were all the rage. Not a single goddamn mention of any sort of technology. Wow, it's almost like this was written by some sort of out-of-touch baby boomer. Even when you put the first book as taking place when it was published in 2000, none of that makes any sense either. No Britney or Backstreet, no CD players, nothing. Never add in numbers, folks. It only makes your book worse. I'd like to add that no matter when this takes place, the future Lear jumped to at the end of the first book has already happened, either in 2015 or 2022. Cool parents. Your mother homeschools you, huh? Was there anyone Perry hadn't blabbed to? Yes, I said. Cool. Did you ever go to real school? Homeschool is real school, Perry said. Homeschool can be good, but my problem, and I'm sure a lot of you can guess where I'm going with this, is that nut jobs use it as an excuse to not actually teach their children. Instead, they use it as an excuse to religiously groom their children. If you need an example, simply go watch episodes of 19 Kids Accounting or watch one of the documentaries about the cult that they're in. I haven't seen them, and I'm sure that the homeschool curriculum comes up. Not like I think that Stargirl's parents are religious wackadoodles, but what they're doing with their daughter is along the same lines. Sliding a piece of paper under her door before she wakes up and expecting for her to stay at that location all day isn't education. That's literally child abandonment. The mockingbird does not dump me. The mockingbird has no harem. You know what? That's fair. Have some standards, girly. Don't settle for being 5th place. September 7th summary. Stargirl, Elvina, and Dootsie went to the mall. Some boys kind of rudely pushed past them, and Stargirl had to physically restrain Elvina from going after them to beat them up. I know that I keep pressing the boot camp idea, but now I'm starting to wonder if there isn't something traumatic that happened at home. Where is her father? Or maybe she was sexually abused or something. I don't know. This book is legit not deep enough to introduce stuff like that, but an 11-year-old girl who tried to beat the snot out of every single person who so much as looks at her wrong sounds like a cry for help. The fact that nobody is acknowledging it is making me angry. Stay connected by joining Patreon as a free member, which gives you access to the same content you've been enjoying on Tumblr. However, for just $1 a month, you can join my Patreon and gain access to this month's Book Snark, plus enjoy early access to my free Daily Snark. Thanks for watching. See you next month.